In this video, I'm going to look at the question is, what is the religion of Adolf Hitler? And a lot of people have different opinions, and I'm going to try to go in a little bit deeper and try to help you to see what his actual religious beliefs were. Actually, the origin of species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life by Charles Darwin. This is his book. And as it turned out, Charles Darwin specifically details his book sales in Germany. He did write a letter in 1869 mentioning the continued large sale of on the original species. There, German scientists and the public widely and quickly accepted Darwin's idea and contributing to the book's popularity. And it was the first place that really took off. And as we know now, all the World War II Axis powers that were areas that it took off too, and we're teaching it right away in schools. And I'll tell you what some people say is that after 3 generations of teaching it in school, you're going to have a problem in the country. And that's what was happening in the country of Germany right now is the time of Hitler. And our country's getting into past the 3rd generation too. Robert Clark said he was captivated by evolutionary teaching probably since the time he was a boy. Evolutionary ideas, quite undisguised, lie at the basis of all its worst in Mein Kampf and in his public speeches. Hitler reasoned that a higher race would always conquer a low race, and he really believed that. Preservation of superior races. And so he was taught evolution since he was a boy. To put it simple, no Darwin, no Hitler. Hitler tried to speed up evolution to help it along, and millions suffered and died in unspeakable ways because of it. Historians generally agree that Adolf Hitler was anti-Christian, although he used religious rhetoric for political gain and was raised Catholic. His views evolved from early political opportunism to later outright hostility towards Christianity, which he saw as weak and corrupting. Adolf Hitler's religious views were complex, contradictory, and primarily opportunistic, designed to consolidate political power rather than reflecting a consistent personal faith. And while raised Catholic, he became hostile to the organized Christianity and privately expressed contempt for its teachings. And here's a quote from 1928. "We tolerate no one in our ranks who attacks the ideas of Christianity. Our movement is Christian." That's Adolf Hitler in October 27, 1928. While he was trying to get in power, he was very pro-Christian in what he said, in a lot of quotes. And we know that he wasn't that, and sometimes when you quote a belief, say that you have this to belief, you better look at their actions and see if they're consistent, because their actions are going to be consistent with their true beliefs. So just because they quote something doesn't mean that it's true, and he did, and you'll see a lot of quotes people use from 1928 to 1933 approximately, that he was talking good about Christians to make the case that he was a Christian. I would say Jesus said, "You'll know them by their fruit," and his fruit didn't show that he was a Christian at all. His early life and abandonment of Catholicism. Baptism and confirmation. Hitler was born to a Catholic mother and was baptized and confirmed in a Roman Catholic church as a youth in Austria. According to William Tolan, witnesses indicated that Hitler's confirmation sponsor had to drag the words out of him, almost as though the whole confirmation was repugnant to him. Early signs of reputation. As a teenager, he showed reluctance towards Catholic confirmation. After leaving home at age 18, he stopped attending Mass or receiving sacraments. Influences in Vienna. In his early 20s, while living in Vienna, Hitler developed an interest in various religions and occultism, though he was prone to express his hatreds. The Nazi Party and religion. In Germany, like all other European nations, Christianity was very powerful and influential. A third of Germans followed the Catholic faith, while 2/3 were Protestant. Hitler had to be careful how he dealt with the religion and the church. If he attempted to control or take over or running the church too soon, the church had the power to influence the German public to overthrow Hitler. Therefore, after 1933, Hitler tried to control the Catholic and Protestant churches by making false promises to leave them alone and not interfere with their running. That's still trying to get in power. It was no surprise, however, that these promises were soon broken. Hitler turned the full force of his police state against them. Like many other parts of life in Nazi Germany, religion was being Nazified as the country became even more totalitarianism. Public manipulation of Christianity. Positive Christianity for political gain. Hitler and the Nazi Party promoted positive Christianity, a state-controlled form of Christianity that rejected traditional doctrines such as the divinity of Jesus and the Old Testament. In a speech in 1932, Hitler declared himself not a Catholic, not a Protestant, but a German Christian. He tactical declarations in his rise to power. Hitler made public statements portraying himself as a Christian and vowed to protect the churches, which he helped secure the support of conservative Christian voters. These promises were quickly broken once he secured power. Hitler was not a Christian. The Fuhrer is deeply religious, though completely anti-Christian. He views Christianity as a symptom of decay. Rightly so, it is a branch of the Jewish race. Both Judaism and Christianity in the end will be destroyed. That was from Joseph Goebbels. And Hitler hated Jews. How could he worship a Jewish Messiah? It's totally unthinkable. And here's another quote from Adolf Hitler. You see, it's been our misfortune to have the wrong religion. Why didn't we have the religion of the Japanese, who regarded sacrifice for the fatherland as the highest good? The Mohammedan religion, Islam, too would have been more compatible to us than Christianity. Why did it have to be Christianity with its meekness and flabbiness? Maybe with their love. Justification for anti-Semitism. In Mein Kampf and public speeches, he reframed his anti-Semitism through a distorted, radicalized interpretation of Christianity. He claimed to be acting in accordance with the will of the Almighty Creator by fighting Jews and portraying Jesus as an Aryan fighter opposed to Jews. Use of religious language, he frequently used the language of divine providence in public speaking and text, framing his mission as divinely sanctioned. He didn't say the Lord, Jehovah, or anything like that. Divine providence, what he really meant is that the power of nature. He believed in the God of nature. He worshiped the Creator, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Hence, today I believe that I am acting in accordance with the will of the Almighty Creator by defending myself against the Jews. I am fighting for the work of the Lord. And so he's saying that he's hooked up with the Creator God. He didn't, not the Creator God that had Jews as his special people. He had the creation he was worshiping. Private rejection of Christianity. Contempt for Christian ethics in private conversations, including those recorded in Hitler's table talk, he expressed his view that Christian teaching of the compassion were flabby and a rebellion against natural law. He preferred more warlike religions like Islam, expressed admiration for the aspects of Japanese religious traditions. Scientific and materialistic outlook. Several theologians have noted that Hitler had a materialistic worldview, believing that the scientific process would eventually cause Christianity to crumble and die out. British historian Richard J. Evans, who writes primarily on the Nazi Germany and World War II, noticed Hitler claiming that Nazism founded on science. Science, he declared, would easily destroy the last remaining vestige of superstition. Germany could not tolerate the intervention of foreign influence such as a pope and priests. He said they were black bugs. Abortion is the black Cossack. Hitler's religion, what he did not believe. So what did Hitler not believe? He continually rejected Christianity, calling it a Jewish plot to undermine the heroic ideals of the Aryan-dominated Roman Empire. He did not accept the deity of Jesus, the resurrection of Jesus, or indeed any of the miracles of Jesus. Intention to eliminate the churches. Confidence like Albert Speer and Joseph Goebbels indicated that Hitler intended to destroy or neutralize the Christian church after winning the war. And actually, he was going to change everything after he won and took over Europe. He allowed capitalism, and I'll talk about it later, to still flourish because he needed somebody to build all his weapons, and he didn't know a better way. But he's planned to take over, get rid of Christianity, and have universal socialism, and like the Antichrist hopes to have. Ambiguous in spiritualism and pantheism. Deistic beliefs. Some historians have characterized Hitler as a deist who believed in a non-interventional creator, God, whose laws were revealed through nature, not scripture. So he got it all from scripture. Adolf Hitler, the heaviest blow that ever struck humanity was coming of Christianity. Bolshevism is Christianity's illegitimate child. Both are inventions of the Jews. The deliberate lie in the matter of religion was introduced by the world to the world by Christianity. But Christianity is an invention of sick brains. One could imagine nothing more senseless or more independent way of turning the idea of the Godhead into mockery. So he was a good evolutionist, good materialistic person. Best thing is to let Christianity die a natural death. The dogma of Christianity gets worn away before the advances of science. Religion will have to make more and more concessions. Gradually, the myths crumble. All that's left is to prove that in nature there is no frontier between the organic or the inorganic. So we're all related, as Darwin taught. You see, it's been our misfortune to have the wrong religion. Why didn't we have the religion of the Japanese who regarded sacrifice for the fatherland the highest good? The Mohammedan religion, Islam, too, would have been more compatible to us than Christianity. Why did we have to be Christianity with its meekness and flabbiness. Worship of nature. Robert Weikar argued that Hitler was a pantheist who believed nature was a true God. According to this view, Hitler believed that obeying nature's brutal laws, such as survival of the fittest, was a divine command, which he used to justify the annihilation of the inferior races. Agnosticism debated. Some early associates like Ernst Hansfenigel believed Hitler was effectively an atheist. However, Hitler publicly opposed the atheist movement, which he associated with his ideological enemies. Many scholars agree that one of Hitler's main accomplishments was the introduction of blind mechanicism into biology, thus banishing moral values from the understanding of nature. The history of Darwin's accomplishment and the trajectory of evolutionary theory during the late 19th and early 20th century has led many to the conclusion that the principal survivor of the fittest was rendered human behavior, including moral behavior, ultimate selfishness. As a result, many accepted ideals that Darwin theory, especially as considered by Darwin's disciple Ernest Haeckel, inspired Hitler. It led to Nazi atrocities. So his worldview wasn't Christianity, it was materialistic, atheistic, evolutionary. His whole worldview was formed by social Darwinism. Hitler used evolutionary theory to justify racial supremacy. If nature does not wish the weaker individuals would mate with the stronger, she wishes that even less that a superior race would intermingle with an inferior one, because in such a case all her efforts through hundreds of thousand years to establish an evolutionary higher stage of being may thus be rendered futile. Here's Hitler's hit list. Nordics, blue-eyed, blonde, close to pure Aryan. German, brown hair, brown eyes, blue eyes, or less desirable brown eyes, predominantly Aryan. Mediterranean, slightly Aryan. Slavic, close to half Aryan, half ape. Oriental, slight ape, preponderance. Black African, predominantly ape. Jewish, close to pure ape. Leading Nazi and early 1900 influential German biologists revealed in their writings that Darwin's theory and publications had a major influence upon the Nazi race policies. Hitler believed that the human gene pool could be improved by using selective breeding, similar to how farmers breeded superior cattle strains. In the formation of their radical policies, Hitler's government relied heavily upon Darwinism, especially the elaboration by Spencer and Haeckel. As a result, a central policy of Hitler's administration was the development and implementation of policies designed to protect the superior race. Actually, that's why they attacked Russia. They thought they were an inferior race, so they didn't have a chance. It was stupid to attack Russia. But Hitler thought it'd be a good idea. Here's another thing. We are socialists. We are enemies of today capitalistic economic systems for the exploitation of the economically weak, with its unfair salaries, with its unseemly evaluation of human being according to the wealth and property instead of responsibility and performance, and we are all determined to destroy this system under all conditions. I'd say the closest to the biblical idea of economics is capitalism, and he had the satanic idea. A review of the writings of Hitler and contemporary German biologists finds that Hitler's theology and writings had a major influence on Nazi policies. In the formation of his racial policies, Hitler relied heavily upon Darwin's evolutionary model, especially elaborated by Spence and Haeckel. They culminated in the final solution, the extermination of approximately 6 million Jews and 4 million other people who belonged to what German scientists judged were inferior races. And so Hitler was the leader, God is our leader. Aryan race superior, all races are considered equal. War and military important, peace and love favored over war, strong support over the weak, strong should support the weak. We treat individuals as being in the image of God, and we believe that they are all equal, that none are further evolved or less evolved. Some might be in cultures that don't work as well in learning things, but it's not their race that does it. And what we should do is improve the cultures. And so this is my case for Adolf Hitler, and I do not think under any circumstance he should be considered to be a Christian.